Good morning. My name is Dana Haddon, and I have the pleasure of hosting today's session. This is the Drive with Data track one, and I'm your host today. So this session is called Demystifying Data Careers. What are they and how do you get there? I'm excited to introduce you today to our speaker, Katya Mastropoulos. She is the Senior Data Scientist with James River Insurance. But before we begin, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick housekeeping items. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to type them into the Q&A panel. And at the end of Katya's presentation, we'll answer them as time allows. And without any further ado, I will turn it over to Katya.
Thank you so much, Dana. Let me share my screen really quickly. All right, can you guys see my presentation now?
Yep,
all
just
right.
Fine.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, thank you to all of them who are spending your time this morning listening to my talk, and not just my talk, but all other wonderful presenters that given talks and share their knowledge and experience this morning. I'm really excited and really humbled that RVA Tech invited me to present what I know, and hopefully you will find some interesting stuff from what I have to say, though of course it's up to you. So what we'll talk about today is about different roles in the data science arena, I would say. So going back to Christina's talk, which was great, I want to amplify that, you know, it's good where you're right now, but I guess the majority of, or maybe a big chunk of people who are actually attending this session, they want to try to find some good advices, maybe some good career choices, and thinking about where you want to be next. So this session is for those who want to explore area of data science, big data, data analytics in general, and to learn more about different roles that are available there. So I'll try to cover a little bit of all of this, or data analysts, even software engineers, data scientists, machine learning engineers. We'll try to figure out why there are so many different roles which kind of sound the same, and what's the difference between them, what are differences in responsibilities, what skill sets are necessary for you to get this job, and how you can get this job, and maybe there are some skills that are non-technical but still might be very important for these roles. And at the end, I hope that there's going to be not a lot of confusion, but still there's no clear division between these different roles. And I will explain you why in just a second. So before I jump there, I wanted just to, give you my little elevator speech and explain who I am and how I end up being here, where I am right now. So I am actually physicist by education, and I used to do some intense research in computational theoretical physics using supercomputers in some of the national labs around here. So I got my PhD degree in computational physics from College of William and Mary 5 years ago. And my first intent was like, yes, I want to become a professor. I want to teach and I want to do physics research. But then it turns out that life not always goes as you plan. First of all, not a great time to get a position in physics, in that area of physics that I was actually doing my research with. Also, my wonderful husband is also a physicist doing research in the same area. So we had this famous in physics two-body problem, doc positions or professorship at the same places because we didn't want to live apart in different continents potentially. And also by that time, it was not just a two-body problem, but a three-body problem because I had my first son who was born when I was still in grad school. So here's a little bit of personal touch. So that's how we decided that maybe it will make sense to actually switch to business. And it seems like it's a big stretch going from physics to data science, but actually not. I think in my case, it helped a lot that I did theoretical physics. So I never spent long hours sitting in the lab and doing actual experiments. I spent long hours sitting in front of my computer, connecting to some really powerful computers and basically running some statistical models, trying to search and predict some properties of elementary particles. And now, as you probably noticed, I work for insurance companies. Weirdly enough, it's still kind of the same because you use the same math, the same statistics, the same method, but applicable to slightly different and maybe close to real life area, right? So right now I'm a data scientist in James River Insurance Company, and I'm leading a little data science team and actually all of the data science efforts within the company and within the holding, which is a group of companies. Before that, it happened that I also used to work in 2 other insurance companies, not by choice. Somehow this happened that my first job was offered with Genworth Financial. And after that, I spent a couple of years with Markel, which is another insurance company. And here I'm now with James River. I think I'll say a few more words about doing this jump from academia to business, because I think there are a lot of people who are wearing the same shoes that I am and maybe wondering how to do this and struggling if they actually can do this. Of course you can, that's not a problem. You just need to know some tricks. In addition to this, I'm a core organizer of Richmond Data Science Community Meetup. And at the end of these slides, I included some links to our meetup page. So we took quite a long break, maybe being lazy, maybe being careful during, coronavirus period. So, but now we're trying to get back on track, and we're actually going to have our first post-quarantine talk, which is all going to be virtual in November. And also I am involved a little bit in RV tech community in general. So I helped planning RV Tech Data Summit very first time 2 years ago. And this year, well, it was this year, in 2020 as well. And we were extremely lucky that we managed to actually have our conference. I think it was the last week before everything shut down. And one more thing that I also involved is I had a pleasure teach some middle school age girls how to code within Texters initiative by RV-Tech, and I hope to do this again later this year. So this is a little bit of personal touch so that you know who is talking to you, and then you can decide, do you want to follow my advice or not? Now let's jump to actual topic of this talk. So say you want to become a data scientist, right? So, and again, it doesn't mean that you actually want to become a data scientist. Maybe you're considering different roles, but something within data analytics, and you're trying to figure out what is better, like what do you need to look at, what skills you need, and what do you need to consider before even applying to any job. The trouble is that anytime when you look, so say if you look at data science job descriptions, There are some really ridiculous things that might require 20 years of data science experience, which is nonsense, but also a lot of job postings for mid-level or higher-level data science require a few years of experience. Even entry levels, I see these days that want you to have 2 years of data science experience. What if you don't have it? Or what if you have a lot of years experience, but not in this area? What if you used to be software engineer, worked in IT, or maybe something, maybe you're just a teacher and you're trying to just find some switch in your career. So what you can see is that, hey, maybe you're a little bit scared while looking at job description for data scientist, but then you notice that there is a whole lot more going along with this. Some companies looking for data analysts, some companies looking for business analysts, some companies trying to find data engineers or machine learning engineers. You can see deep learning engineers as well, or software engineers. There's also the whole agile methodology, and you can see scrum masters and product owners. And if you're new to this entire field of big data, you probably your head is going around and you don't know what what all this means. So what I'll try to do today is kind of walk on this quicksand. And I like this analogy because first of all, I never tried to do this, but I think it's fun that as soon as you stop, stand for just for a few seconds in one spot, you're going to go deep down in the sand. We're not going to do this, and we're not going to do any deep dives into any specific job description or data science role. We're just going to take a quick steps and look what's available around, and I'll hope that I'll give you some ideas of what you can do and if you want to advance your career towards these roles. So let's start with data analyst. And I think this is the most general kind of job description and or role that all of us well aware, even though it really depends on the company what people assume by data analysts. So in traditional setting, when we're talking about data analysts, it would be a person who would collect data, would be really good with exploring data, extracting data from maybe some sources like using SQL or some other query languages, exploring data, trying to get some insights from it. They also work really close with domain experts, depending on what area of business this company is. And they're trying to interpret this data and provide some insights to upper management. This is how it used to be in traditional settings. Now, what I'm trying to explain you what data analysts might do within machine learning teams, or not data science teams, or basically within any group of people working on one big machine learning project. So in this case, it's still very similar to traditional approach. Data analyst will look at data and try to explore data and interpret this data. They also really good at doing statistical analysis, and their major task is to produce reports and really cool data visualizations. So again, I want to make sure that this is not a final truth. If I put just, these 3 bullet points about what data analysts do, this is of course not quite applicable to every possible organization. In some organization, data analyst just produces reports on daily basis. On some other level, maybe there's no data scientist, and data analyst is kind of doing all sorts of jobs. So, but one last remark about this role is that this is very common and very common position when you want to start with, when you're trying to get your in data science, right? And this is actually the case with me and with a lot of my other friends who ended up being data scientists. We all started with data analyst role. And I think in my case, this happened mostly because I was coming from academia, and people are a little bit skeptical in business with anyone coming from academia. You come in with a bunch of degrees. You can have your master's degree, you can have your PhD, but people are skeptical because you don't have any domain expertise or business knowledge. You never worked in a corporate environment, so they are not sure if you're going to be really suitable for machine learning tasks or data science tasks, and data analyst is a great way to start. And I'll talk about all the skills that are necessary for this job a little bit later. Let me just brush through some other job descriptions. So second description or role that you definitely will see around is a data engineer. So data engineer is a really cool one, and I'm going to say a really cool one about probably every job description. What does really mean to be a data engineer? It means that you, on your daily basis, you work toward building some reliable and really scalable data pipelines. So there is a whole bunch of words. What do they mean? You know that in any organization you have a variety of data, and all of this data can be stored in different formats. You can deal with some external data, you can deal with some unstructured data, depending again on the industry that you're in. You can deal with some texts, some PDF documents, so images. You can deal with some video recordings, or you can have just structured data in your normal database. So what data engineer does is he collects or she collects all the data from multiple sources and builds some logic behind data aggregation and transformation, and stores this in some central location so that data scientists or data analysts or whoever else interested in looking into data can easily access this data. They also always think about scalability of this process, because remember that at the end of the day, and I will show you the entire data science workflow a little bit later, but at the end of the day, you want to put your model once it's ready to production, and you want to start thinking about this final step, productionalizing your model at the very beginning, and that's where the data engineer is involved. Now, our next job description is machine learning engineer. Machine learning engineer, this is the most confusing, I think, role, because in many cases, it is very, very similar to data scientist role. And even for me, it's hard to make a certain difference, like here's exactly what machine learning engineer does, this is what data scientist does. It's not always the case, and depending on the company, you would try sometimes to use machine learning engineer to use this person for the entire data science process. But in general, what they do, they design this self-running software which automates predictive models. What do I mean? That they work, of course, starting with data exploration. They spend a lot of time working with data engineers, making sure, and with data analysts, making sure that they understand the data behind any project, make sure they understand where data coming from. They know all the issues with data. They know really, and I cannot amplify it more, domain knowledge is a big deal, because you can think that you know everything, you know all sorts of stats and programming, you jump into the project, but if you don't know specifics of this business, you might do something really stupid. So please don't do that. Machine learning engineer, once they feel good about data exploration, they work on feature engineering. For those of you who might be new to this field of data science, when I'm talking about feature engineering, it means that you transform your data that you started with as you start data set, and you're trying to make it suitable for a machine. You combine some features, you maybe deal with some categorical features that computers, they're not as smart as we are, they cannot understand if you give them some words, so you would need to translate everything into numericals, into digits, and then computer can process this information. So that's a big job for machine learning engineer or data scientist. And of course, model training. So we build models, we figure out which algorithm will be the most applicable, and then we validate model, make sure that it performs really well, that there is no underfitting or overfitting, and all of these tricks. So that's the role of machine learning engineer. And one more role that I wanted to touch up, which is a little bit different, because you probably all heard about software engineers, and you would think, hey, software engineer, that's IT. Why are we talking about this here if we're more inclined toward data science jobs family? Well, here's the thing. You once your model is ready, you want to deploy it. And usually when by we, I mean data scientists, machine learning engineers, deep learning engineers, we're playing with model, we're training it, we're trying to make it better, we work on tuning some parameters to make sure that our model performs as good as it can. But at the end of the day, we want to deploy it. And deployment environment usually way, way different from environment where you train your model and make sure that it actually works. So here's where your software engineer comes to play. And they actually, if they're good, they should be involved into all stages of your process and collaborate closely with data analysts, data engineers, and machine learning engineers. Because their final job, they want to reproduce this entire data pipeline that data engineer built in production environments, so that your model runs smoothly in real time. There's numerous examples of modeling crashing on the first day when they go into production, because there's always something goes bad. So here's your software engineer. Now let's talk about skill sets. Here again, you see that I just have like 3 or 4 bullets for each job description. Of course, this is not that you can see in job description, but I wanted to outline the main thing that we'll definitely see and that you definitely will need for these jobs. So starting with data analyst, usually SQL is a must, right? So you cannot really go without SQL. Of course, if you know NoSQL or some other like unstructured query languages, that's a big plus. But SQL is a minimum base that you need to know, and if you know how to deal with databases, that's great. You need to know domain knowledge. Doesn't mean that when you start your career, this is your first data analyst job, you already need to know, say, if you are, I don't know, in like financial industry, you need to know everything about how bank operates. No, but you will learn this, and that will be a big chunk of your learning path. And of course, you need to be good building reports and data visualizations. And traditionally, data analysts really love Excel. There is no way to avoid Excel. So it's Excel, 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 Tableau, Power BI. Some people use ClickView. So, some software of your choice. Recently, I see a good trend of data analysts learning programming languages and a lot of data analysts actually use them. So it can be R or Python, language of your choice, and people realizing that they can do much better or interesting reporting using programming languages. So that's really interesting. Now, switching to data engineering, of course, that's the same. They need to be really good in knowing everything about data warehousing and ETL processes. ETL processes is so-called extract, transform, load. So basically everything that you do with data while building data pipelines. In-depth SQL and database knowledge, and you will need to know some advanced programming skills. Usually it's again Python or R. And you would need to have an understanding about machine learning concepts, maybe not in depth, but at least know how they worked. Machine learning engineer, and again, let me repeat that this is, in my mind, it's very similar to data scientist job, but I'll have a few remarks on that too in a minute. in addition to everything that data engineer has, there should be really good programming experience with advanced math skill. You need to be really good in stats and understand what statistics does and how. And you also need to know machine learning algorithms, how they work, and how to train model, even if you're not all right, let me step back. You need to know how machine learning algorithms work, which algorithm to apply, how to train your model, and how to estimate performance of your model. And finally, software engineer needs to have understanding of machine learning tools and production environment. That's the main thing, production environment. Also be really good with ETL processing, data extraction, and they usually have more experience in programming. So in addition to our favorite Python or R languages, they usually know C# or Java or some other languages. Now, I said a few times already that this is all relative, and this is what I mean. Depending on the scale of your organization, you can have multiple jobs within, say, some, call it data science team or at a machine learning team or data insights team. You would have data engineer, and they usually just look at the, data collection and involved into data cleaning while building these pipelines. Data analysts will mostly work on exploring data, so exploratory data analysis and some reporting. And then you would have machine learning engineer who actually build models and deploy them in some cases. In some companies, you would have software engineers helping them with them. In some cases, you would have data scientists doing all of this job. So again, it really depends on companies. Smaller companies tend to have like just one, maybe 2 or 3 data scientists, and they usually involved into entire process, and they involved into everything from data collection to model deployment. If you're lucky enough, you have your IT department that helps you providing their software engineers to help you to deploy this into production. But again, like don't take my words that this is the final truth. It really depends on the scale of your company. Another funny remark that I wanted to tell you is that sometimes when you're looking for jobs, you look at job description and you're like, oh my God, I will never be able to satisfy this all, check marks that they want to see. Don't be so concerned about data description, about job description. And here's why. There was a research, and apparently the smaller companies that have around 50 or in general under 100 people, they tend to make their job description for data science roles much, much longer. And I think, and this is my point of view, that in most cases, maybe this is the first data scientist they're trying to hire, and they're not even sure of what data science do. In some cases, HR department trying just to browse around and find the best description for this role they can, and then without knowing what they're looking for, sometimes it turns out that description takes a few pages. There are some other cases when the company knows exactly what they want. If this is like some tech startup, they really know what they need from their data scientists, but they also don't want to hire a whole bunch of people to have a team. So data scientists would need to be good in a lot of things. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Now, this is the famous, I would say variation of Venn diagram for data science. You know that you would need to, in general, be really good in coding and programming. You need to have really in-depth knowledge of math and statistics, and ideally, people prefer to see people from science or math background or computer science to take them as a data scientist in the company. In general, research background is really good because it means that if you spend some years doing some sort of research before, you're good in solving problems. And finally, domain expertise. And when you match all of this together, you see this overlapping area. That's our data scientist, which is magic unicorn, and it's not mythical anymore. But one important thing that you should remember, that you need to this unicorn, you also need to add some soft skills. Without soft skills, I don't think you'll go far, and that's not what you want to do. You of course you need to be a good communicator, but in addition to being a good communicator, you need to, in some cases, convince people that they need to trust you, that your data science is not some magic box and here are some results. You need to know how to talk to people. You need to know how to translate your machine learning language to human language. And soft skills are what you absolutely have to work on for this. Now, my final remark, I just wanted to tell you that data science is not about how much time you spend on data crunching or how much machine learning algorithms you're building from scratch on a daily basis, or how crazy good you're in Python or R. This is all about making some impact. So you have data, you use all of your knowledge, you have use your experience, your training, you constantly learn, but your final goal as a data science or any person who works within data scientist job families is to make impact for your organization. That's the must. And this quote from Casey Kozyrkov, she is one of my, I think, stars that I'm looking at while thinking about women in tech. She's a chief decision scientist at Google. And that's quote from one of her blog posts. She's saying a data set is a data set, right? It's actually wrong. How you use it matters. So always think about this and never just jump and do something stupid thinking that you have training, so you're good in everything. Thank you so much. Here are some contact information, and I will be happy to answer your questions.
Hi, we're kind of running a little bit short on time. I think we might have an opportunity for one quick question. Laura Walker asked, what courses should you start with to increase your ability to apply for a data analyst position?
So I think in addition to skill set that I already mentioned, so you would definitely need to know some basics of statistical analysis. You do not need to go crazy into algorithms or some statistical modeling, but you need to understand what data is and how to work with this and how to do basic manipulations with your data to make some at least produce reports and visualizations. I would advise to learn either Python or R and use those languages to produce your reports. I personally work with Python, so I'll talk about this. Pandas is the biggest tool that all data analysts and data scientists in Python world use. You can learn this, and learning just basics will give you opportunity to create amazing visualizations and do really creative data analysis.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Hi, Dina.
Hi. got a couple more folks that are joining along to this session.